All right, let's start seated. So you can sit any way that's comfortable. You can sit on a blanket with a little bit of height underneath your pelvis. You can sit on a block if that feels good, or even a bolster if you like a little extra height. But sit up as tall as you can and take a breath in and a breath out. Let's take the next 3 to 5 breaths to allow your body to really land in seated. Really create the distinction or the transition between whatever was going on before and the space you're carving out for practice, for yoga now. Now, if you're sitting cross-legged, change the cross of your ankle so that let's say the different ankle is crossed in front, or the one that feels probably less familiar. Cool. You'll sit up tall, take a breath in. And as you exhale, you can hold onto your knees or hold onto your ankles, whatever feels more natural or comfortable. We'll start to move in a circle, which might say hi to your pelvis. It might also say hi to your spine. But take a number of these circles around. And if there's a spot that feels good where you feel like you're getting a lot of space in your back or your hip, you can stay. If there's a spot you want a little more space, you're welcome to linger. And after a few circles in one direction, go the other way. You can keep your breath steady. It doesn't matter where in the motion the breath lands, just that your breath is continuous. Even if you're pausing in a shape or a spot, you want to keep your breath going. Well, when you feel complete, we'll pause at center. Sit up tall again. Breathe in. And then breathe out. We'll come back to this shape that we're about to do at the end, but I want to get a sort of baseline so everybody knows where they're starting. We'll set up double pigeon variations. So your double pigeon traditionally is 2 90-degree angles with the ankles roughly on top of the knees. Now, you can start with the right leg on the bottom and the left leg on top. And as you can see, there's a bit of a gap between my left knee and my right ankle. So fill the gap. Just sit up tall and take 3 to 5 breaths to feel what space you have in your pelvis, what feels challenging, what you observe. And if it's challenging and even the lower knee, the right knee doesn't come down, you can pad it with a towel or a blanket. You can sit up on a block. So sometimes that helps give the hips the sense that they can open a little more if there is something underneath the bum. And take a breath in. When you're ready to be done, you can use both hands to guide the left knee up, extend it out, and take the right knee out as well, and just shake out your knees for a moment. So we'll set up the second side, and again, this is just to see where we are today. So left foot comes across on the bottom, right ankle comes on top of the left knee. And sometimes I find I have to shift around a little bit on my bum to find the comfortable spot. And you can make those little adjustments. There we go. And again, if your lower knee doesn't touch the ground, support it. You don't want your joints to feel like they're being torqued or jammed into this position. You want them to feel supported. And once you're in the pose, sit up tall, just breathe. Looking again for 3 to 5 fluid, steady inhales that arrive at steady exhales, that arrive at steady inhales. When you feel done, you can use your hands, possibly a little lean back to help your right leg extend forward. And then your left leg extends forward. Shake out the knees. And take a breath in. And then a breath out. All right. You can bring yourself back to a cross-legged position. Land your hands at center chest and pause for a moment to just acknowledge yourself for getting onto your mat. And if there's a sense of purpose that brought you here, a feeling you were looking to cultivate, really bring that to the forefront of your mind. Let your breath come in. And your breath go out. You're welcome to stay in seated as long as you're in that feeling of resonance with yourself. When you feel complete, we'll come into table or hands and knees. So when you set up table, set it up in a way that's supportive. So if your knees like extra cushion or need extra cushion, use a blanket or a towel. If your wrists are not happy being flat on the floor, you can put blocks underneath your forearms, or you can use fists flat on the floor. We'll take a deep breath in, arch through the spine, cow pose. With your exhale, round up and in, cat. We'll take 3 breaths like this, simply linking breath and movement together. Arching and rounding. One more time, inhale. And this time as you exhale, round up through your spine and walk your hands towards your knees, standing up on your knees. Let your hips stack right over your knees. Your hands can come to the small of your back just to help you find the position with the hips over the knees. And if it feels okay, if it feels good to have your hands down, keep them down. If it feels okay, lift your arms up, hook your thumbs, and gently lift your chest up. So you just start to look up towards the ceiling. Breathe in and breathe out. Press your thumbs into one another and it helps you get a little space across your chest or collarbone. Let your inhale fill you up. With your exhale, bring your hands to center. Drift your weight into your left knee and step your right foot forward. We'll take the right knee into a stack right over the right heel, but maintain the left knee directly under the left hip. Notice if your right hip, I'm trying to exaggerate this, is lifting up and drop it down so that your hips stay relatively level. Here, begin with the hands on the small of the back and gently encourage your bum down. We'll look for that same sense of lift or upward extension of the chest away from the belly or the chest away from the hip crease. You can stay here or you can take your left arm high. And breathe in and out. If looking up and back makes you feel nauseous, bring your hand behind your head and just look comfortably ahead, but let your head get some support with your hand. Breath comes in, anchoring through the top of the left foot. And breath moves out. One more inhale. With your exhale, start to restack shoulders over hips. You can bring your hands to your hips, or if it's helpful to put the hands on blocks, you can do that as well. Go straighten the front leg and turn the toes up and find a hamstring stretch. So the right toes turn up towards the ceiling. If your right knee is kicking down or locking towards the floor, keep it gently bent. Leveling off your hips, you might explore shifting from side to side in your pelvis. You might explore shifting from side to side in your right toes, letting them turn in and then turn out. And breathe in. And breathe out. When you feel complete here, you'll gently bend in your right knee. Bring both hands to the inside edge of your right foot. And again, it could be hands, it could be fists, it could be flat palms, whatever works. You'll walk your right foot long and extend your right leg back behind you so that your right foot comes in line with your right hip and your hip stays square. I'll just move my bolster out of the way. Now from here, you can stay with the with the right foot on the floor and reach the left arm forward. If it feels okay on your belly, and if it feels okay keeping the hips level, you can play with floating the right leg up. We'll take 3 to 5 breaths here, just looking to find stability all across the middle. So you breathe in, and you breathe out. In, and then out. One more time, inhale. With your exhale, set your right knee down and your left hand down. On an inhale, you'll arch through the spine. On an exhale, round. One more time so we can come together. Inhale, arching. Exhale, rounding. This time as you round, walk your hands or fists back towards your knees. Stand up on your knees. Let your hips come to stack and your chest lift up. Now here, if you kept your hands down on the first go, you can do that again, or hook your thumbs overhead. Take the thumb hook that feels strange this time. So different fingers on top. Tops of your feet still anchor, hips come forward. And again, you still have the option of looking forward rather than up if that feels better on your body. Let your breath come in. Let your breath go out. Breath in and out. One more deep inhale. And with your exhale, stack the shoulders over the hips. Hands can come to center if that's helpful. You'll let the weight shift into your right knee and gently place the left foot forward. So we're not looking for a deep lunge. We're looking for the left heel to be right over the left, right under the left knee. And if you notice your hips are sort of swiveling to the side, drop them in line with one another. Anchor through the top of the right foot and try to lift your front line up so that your right hip flexors, your right quad, that's what's getting the action of the shape. Now you can stay here with your hands towards your back or even your hips, or if it feels okay, take the right arm up. And keep checking in with yourself. If it starts off feeling great, but then eventually you're like, you can always bring your hand back down. Let your breath come in. And your breath go out. Maybe you take your hand behind your head if you did that on the other side. Breath in. Breath out. One more inhale. With your exhale, you stack to a neutral spine first. Then start the process. You might need to walk the left foot farther forward to be able to extend the leg. Turn the left toes up, swivel the hips to square. And maybe you need to find blocks. You don't have to bring your hands to the floor, but for many folks it feels nice. If it feels like too much of a reach, just keep your hands at your hips and you can focus on leveling them off. You can focus on the toes in, toes out rotation. You have a lot of options for where you put your focus. So let it be an empowering or uplifting choice. Take another breath in. On an exhale, you'll bend your left knee. If you have blocks, you can slide them out of the way. You'll press down into your hands or fists with your shoulders right over the top of them. Walk your left foot wide until you can extend the left leg back and level off your hips. Now you can stay right here with the left toes down or extend the right arm forward. Again, we're looking for a sense of level or evenness across the pelvis, up and down in space, but also forward and backwards. So if you need to bring your hand down to maintain that, you do. If you want to play with floating the back leg up and maintaining that same sense of evenness, you can do that. All the options are available. Take a breath in. And a breath out. Breath in. And out. One more inhale. And with your exhale, bring your right hand down, your left knee down. Table, hands and knees. Arch with your in-breath. Round with your out-breath. One more time, inhale, arch. This time as you exhale, curl your toes under behind you. Walk your hands back towards your knees. Let your press in your palms help you lift your knees up off the floor. And keep walking your hands back. Elbows find your knees. Take a breath in. Chest lifts forward. And with your exhale, you can fold all the way down or keep the elbows at the knees if there's a reason to. We'll take a slow roll up to stand. You can paw your way up your body or just move very, very, very slowly. Take a breath in. And a breath out. Okay. I'll turn towards you for this next bit so that you can see what we're doing. So you'll let your weight come into your left foot and bring your right foot into a low tree. So below the knee, somewhere that you can maintain, but also somewhere where you have the ability to move the knee from side to side. So we can look for reaching the right knee out to the right while still feeling anchored and strong through the left leg. Now, if you feel like you're going to fall, you can hold on to the wall, or if you happen to be next to a bookshelf, the bookshelf. And take a breath in. And see if you can find that sense of reaching the right knee out. Maybe your right hand, the outside of your right hand gently presses onto the right thigh. Your left hand can be down as well. Maybe the left arm reaches up. Maybe the right arm reaches up. Tree pose. Breathe in. And breathe out. 2 breaths. And if you notice in this time that your right knee is starting to turn forward, keep drawing it out. One more breath in. I'll turn sideways for the transition. And as you exhale, you will bring the right knee forward, step it forward, and let your left toes pivot out as your right foot lands. We're coming to warrior 2. So the right knee stacks over the right heel. Level your hips off. And here, you'll extend your arms out if that feels okay in your shoulders. Shoulders came up as an area to focus on today. So if you're focusing on shoulders, turn your palms up, softly bend in your elbows, and encourage your shoulder blades to come down. We'll stay here and breathe. Notice again if your right knee is trying to tip in, and keep stacking the right knee over the right heel. And breathe in. And plug down through the outer edge of your left foot as you breathe out. One more inhale. One more exhale. Inhale, extend both legs, reach your arms up overhead. And with your exhale this time, bring both hands bending in the right knee, both hands to the inside edge of your right foot. This time you'll have the choice of setting the left knee down or keeping it lifted. We're coming into lizard lunge, but we'll sustain it this time. So make sure your left knee is comfortable with whatever choice you're making. And as you come forward, you can sink your hips low, or you can actually add support here. And since we're going to sustain it for a few breaths, you might even consider building a structure to support it, such that you can rest your hip, your other hip, your left hip, on a bolster. Yeah. Let me back up a little bit. To keep this safe and comfortable in your right knee, make sure your right knee and your right toes are pointing in the same direction. This pose can feel intense, so if you're lingering in a place that's too much, give yourself more support. You can lift your body out. When it's time to come out, you can take the same action of walking the right foot right until you end up in table. Take a moment to reset your props as needed. You could take a cat-cow. If a high to low push-up feels really good, you can do that too, or just take your hips in a gentle sway. And to set up the second side, take a deep breath in. You can arch or just find stillness. With your exhale, curl your toes under again. Walk your hands towards your knees. Use your hands for support. Flip your knees, lift your knees up. Land your feet. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale and fold. Inhale all the way up. You can roll up, you can sweep up. And with your exhale, bring your hands to center. And I'll face you guys again. So this time, the weight's shifting into the right foot, and your left foot is coming up into a low tree. So anywhere below the right knee. So even if that's tapping the left toes to the floor, even though balance is usually the point of tree right here, we're looking to explore, without any extra weight in it, the ability to move the left knee to the side. So if you need to hold onto a wall, you can do that and take some of the effort of balancing out so that you can focus on reaching the left knee out to the side. Let your breath come in and your breath go out. You might use the outside of the left hand to help guide your left knee out. You might reach the right arm high. You might reach both arms high, and that might keep you falling down. Totally fine. Explore with the body you're in, with what makes sense. Let your breath come in. And your breath go out. And turn the other way now. So when it's time to move, you'll take a breath in and a breath out. You'll bring the left knee forward. Step forward into the left foot. Land the right foot, and then if you've got a short stance and you have more space, you're welcome to take the left foot farther forward, but try to drop the hips in line with one another. Left knee stacks over left heel. And here we are at the second side. Let your breath come in and your breath go out. You can stay here or return to these sort of serving platter arms, allowing the shoulders to shrug back and down. Breathing in and breathing out. And sometimes there's a lot to think about in a pose. Your mind keeps cycling through all the cues. Use these next 3 breaths just to have some silence here. On an inhale, you'll extend your left leg. Take your arms up overhead. On your exhale, bend back into your left knee. Guide both hands down. And you can set your right knee down, patting it with whatever is useful to support the comfort of your right knee. And grab, if you're making a ramp shape again, you'll let your left foot walk to the left edge of your mat. Put your bolster on whatever heighted blocks makes the most sense for your body. And then let your hip come down onto some support as gracefully as you can. Doesn't have to be very deep. You can always add more height. Perfect. Let your breath come in. And then your breath go out. If this shape is proving powerful or like a place to stay, please do. But when it's time to go, you'll press down into your hands. Gently shift your hips back so that you can walk me back beside your right knee. You might find that it's easiest to leave the ramp, and I'll show you why in just a second. But on an inhale, you can arch. On an exhale, round through your spine, stand up on your knees one last time. Send your hips forward, lift your chest up, and maybe your hands come to the small of your back. This will be our last active back bend of any sort. So if you're vibing the idea of reaching back for your feet or setting blocks next to your feet to catch them, to catch the blocks that is, you are welcome to do that. Breath in and out. One more inhale. And with your exhale, you'll stack the shoulders over the hips. Sit your hips back towards your heels for a moment. And we'll prepare the area in front of this ramp shape. And if you don't already have a ramp, we'll take a moment to make one. So I have a pretty thick bolster, and it doesn't need a lot to get my back elevated comfortably. So one block underneath this bolster is enough for me. But you might decide that you need, especially if you have a softer one, you'll want something underneath your chest, maybe a low block, and then something underneath your head at a medium or tall height to help your chin gently move towards your chest. I like to have a blanket in front of the bolster to mind the gap. And then you can add blankets for underneath your elbows. We'll be taking the butterfly variation today, so you might find blocks for underneath your knees. Or extra pillows for underneath your knees. And you'll bring yourself gently down. you notice that your upper arms are sort of pushing up into your neck, you can try taking them a little wider. The elbows a little wider on the floor to create some space. You can stay here as long as you like. If you'd like to add something to the shape, bring the soles of your feet to the ground and we'll take figure 4 on each side. So with the feet on the ground, you can use your hands for support there. You'll cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Now, some folks like to find a gentle rocking action, pressing into the left foot and letting the left foot guide you. If you'd like a little bit more, this is a static and relatively simple pose. If you'd like a little bit more, let's say, impact, you can put a block underneath your left foot to elevate it and add a little bit more possible stretch. If you get there and think, well, I don't want that, take the block out. If it feels all right in your body, you can take the whole figure 4 shape and drop it to the left. If that hurts in your low back or anywhere, back off. When you feel complete in this side of figure 4, we'll simply switch sides. So you can bring the right foot down. If you were using a block, place the block first underneath your right foot. Then take your left foot over your right thigh. And again, you can rock or be still. You're welcome to stay here a little longer or take that figure 4 twisting shape by dropping everything over to the right. When you feel complete, you'll bring the soles of both feet down to the floor. You can either press into your elbows or take a hold of your thighs to sit yourself up. Now you might choose to leave the ramp in preparation for Shavasana, which is coming, but we have one more port to pass through, which is our double pigeon revisited. So sit up tall first. Shift around your props if you need to. We started with the right knee down, so we'll do that again. And you'll take your left ankle right on top. And you can add props as you need. And just notice what you feel this time. As you sit up tall, breathe in. And breathe out. Now you're welcome to stay upright, or you can start to hinge at your hips. It doesn't work so much for me these days, but you're welcome to fold if you have the space. Just notice that if you're folding and your back is starting to round, that you back off a little bit and get tall again through the spine. you feel complete on this side, you'll sit yourself back up first. Gently hug your left knee in to help you. You can hold onto your left foot and your left knee and take a gentle sway here, sort of like a half happy baby. When you feel ready to switch sides, extend both legs forward, shimmy them out. And you'll guide the right knee over, or right foot over. And then, the left foot over with the right foot on top. So same, but second side. You can put whatever you need underneath your knee, your top knee, your bottom knee, whichever knee needs support. And sit up as tall as you can. And take a breath in. And a breath out. One of the nice things about using blankets and towels as your support is that they can be molded to fit what your body needs. So if you find, oh great, I don't need as much as I needed the first time, but I still need some, you can just keep rearranging until you get what feels right for you today. Maybe you fold, maybe you don't. Maybe you close your eyes, maybe you don't. Again, when you feel done, you'll sit yourself up first. You can take a hold of your right foot with your left hand, your right knee with your right hand, and take that gentle rocking action. Now, if you're inclined to move back into this gentle ramp shape for Shavasana, know that you have that option. We'll take the legs and shimmy them one last time. Now, if you prefer a traditional Shavasana, you dismantle the ramp, you can maybe use the bolster underneath your thighs, or you can stay on the ramp shape as you come into your final rest. Set yourself up in any way that's comfortable for you right now, knowing that it might be a little different than last time. And as you come into your final rest, if you need to add extra support to keep you warm, do that. If you want to shut the light off, you can do that. in. And then a breath out. And check in with yourself. If you have time and space to stay and rest a little longer, please do. It's always nice to linger in your resting posture. Regardless of where you are, bring the soles of your feet to the floor. Now, if you're flat on your back, you'll roll to your side and pause, taking a moment to rest a little longer. If you're on your ramp shape, you'll hold onto your thighs or press into your elbows to sit yourself up. From your side body, you'll sit yourself up as well, rolling and pressing into your hands. We'll turn to face each other. Sitting up tall. And bring your palms back to the center of your chest. You can layer them one on top of the other. But reconnect to whatever it was that got you to your mat. And take a breath in. And a breath out. Honoring yourself for making this space and time for body, mind, spirit. And anything extra from the practice we'll offer as a prayer out. Anything extra that you don't need or that you feel complete with. We'll bow. May all beings be peaceful. Thank you all so much for sharing practice.